Hi friends! Welcome back to my channel! As per usual, I am late to the party. What else is new? Which is so weird because in real life, like everything except for videos, I am mad if I'm not early. So I will set appointments, or like my contract in the morning doesn't start till 8:30. I get there by 7 every single morning. And like when I make appointments, I always make them for a time that I know I can be there, like at least a half hour early. Because if you're not early, you're late. But the trend on my YouTube channel is to be late with everything. So you're gonna get this hot mess of a video, and you're welcome. We are going to be talking about a readathon that I want to participate in. And I know that like a lot of people do these TBR videos and everything, so I will link my TBR for November up here somewhere. This is in addition to that. There are 24 prompts, but the tagline of the readathon is Relaxed Readathon for all of November. It's being hosted by Allison Pages. It's called the Blooming Readathon 2022. Apparently she did this last year too, but I just found her channel, so I'll link it down below. I'll link the announcement video for you. Go check her out, give her some love. But there are 24 challenge prompts, and you can double up or triple up or use 4 prompts for one book, or however you can do that. You're allowed to do that. But we all know that my crazy butt is going to pick 24 books. However, if I don't finish all 24, I'm not going to be hard on myself. I'm not going to take it super seriously. Like, I do really want to read a bunch of books. But I think at the end of the month, probably the beginning of December, if I'm being honest, I will go through all these prompts. And I will go through what book I actually read for it. So there's like this bingo board and a whole bunch of cool stuff with this that I'm not really going to go into. I'm just legitimately going to go into the prompts and the books that I'm picking for each prompt. So I hope you enjoy this video. Don't forget to like it and subscribe if you're new around here. The first prompt is the B space. Read a book that has a lot of buzz around it right now. For that, I'm going to read Just Like Home by Sarah Gailey. I don't know a whole lot about it other than like the cover is fantastic. So pretty. And I think it's a haunted house story. The next one is The Cloud Space, which is actually a book that I'm reading right now. So for The Cloud Space, you're supposed to pick a book that you think is going to make you emotional. And at the time when I went into this book, I thought that it was going to be like an emotional romance that has layers like Emily Henry's books do. I'm like halfway through the book and I'm not getting the emotional aspect. Maybe the second half will intensify the emotionalness of this book, but even if it doesn't, I'm still going to count it for this prompt, or at least for my TBR. Maybe when we go over the actual books that I've read, I don't know, maybe I'll put a different book in that slot, or maybe I'll tell you about the roughest draft, because like I said, I'm halfway through it. It's not emotional yet. I don't know if it's supposed to be. I thought it was, but you know. So our third prompt is The Sun Space. Read a book that you think will make you happy for that. I'm going to be reading 20 Times a Lady by Karen Bosnick. Everyone has a number. What's yours? This reminds me of the movie What's Your Number? I've read 33 pages of this book, and then I put it down. And it wasn't even like I wasn't liking it. I was. It's hilarious. I think the problem for me is that I don't read a lot of hilarious things. I'm a monster, so I like to read terrible, like hard-hitting books rather than like funny, uplifting books. But this follows Delilah, who wakes up one morning to find that she slept with her boss last night. And she promised herself since she was like very little that she wouldn't sleep with more than 20 people. She always had this pact with herself that the 20th person or before is going to be the man that she marries. So her boss is the 20th person she slept with. So now she made a list of all of her exes. And now she is going to track them all down and figure out why it didn't work with them and try to make it work with one of them. The moon space is the next space. It is read a book set in a different country than your own because we all have the same moon. And for this one, I'm going to be reading The Last Resort by Marissa Stapley, mostly because I've already started this, and I really went into this thinking that I wouldn't like it. It's part of my unhaul project, and I really thought I would read it once and then be done and not really love it. I'm really, really enjoying this book. I'm not very far into it, though. I think I'm about 100 pages in, but it is so good. So it's about these couples who go to the last resort in Mexico, and these celebrity couple basically is like the therapist there. So think like Dr. Phil and his wife, maybe, type of situation. But in their therapy sessions, like, these odd things are happening, and it's supposed to bring them closer, but I have a feeling that not everything is going to go according to plan. Number 5 is The Tree Space. Read a nonfiction book. So unfortunately, this book has deckled edges. I absolutely hate deckled edges, but I do have it on audio, so I might just listen to it on audiobook and not really have to deal with deckled edges because I absolutely despise deckled edges. But this is Catch and Kill by Ronan Farrow, Lies, Spies, and a Conspiracy to Protect Predators. I'm actually like 50% of the way done with this one already. This is basically, it follows this movie director who he assaulted many women, and they all thought that they couldn't say anything because he's a big Hollywood figure, for one, and for two, like, they really wanted the job. So it was like, oh, well, I didn't want to sleep with him, but if I did, then I got the modeling job or the acting job or whatever. But, I mean, the story has so many layers, and so many people are referenced in this story. So this is very hard-hitting. It's a true story, nonfiction. Number 6 is A Daffodil Space. Read a book with non-romantic love. So I picked A Night Twice as Long by Andrew Simmet. I haven't read this one yet, but this one follows this brother and this sister duo, Alex, and I don't know her brother's name. So I don't know her brother's name, but you follow Alex, who's the main character. She's living in this place where there are rolling blackouts, and her best friend Anthony wants to go investigate what is going on with the blackouts and how they can stop it. And Alex has been feeling very depressed and very, very just heartbroken since the day that her little brother got taken out of the house. He has autism, and I don't think that her family could really take care of a child with high needs like that. So he got removed, and she's just in a very, very dark place. Number 7 is Cacti Space. It's read a short story or read an anthology. So for this one, I'm actually going to take this. Okay. So, Bella, hold on. Okay. So for this one, I'm going to read a short book. It's called Nothing But Blackened Teeth by Cassandra Kah, I think. Nothing But Blackened Teeth is a gorgeously creepy haunted house tale steeped in Japanese folklore and full of devastating twists. So the next one is Variegated Space. Read a rarer book. For this one, I'm going to read another nonfiction about sexual assault. This is Unbelievable by T. Kristen Miller and Ken Armstrong. This is now a Netflix original TV show series, I think, and I really want to read it. I mean, I really want to watch it, but I want to read it first because I think it has Evie in it from Last Man Standing. But basically, this is a different case than Catch and Kill. This is when a young woman was brutally attacked, no one believed her. Then another woman was attacked, then another. This is the story of two detectives' relentless search for the truth. And I believe that the military is involved somehow. I think that the people that are... I think the assailant is part of the military or a cop or something, someone that you're supposed to trust. And yeah, I'm terrified, but let's do it. Number 9 is Propagation Space. Read a book with an adaptation. For this, I'm going to be reading a book where the movie is coming out in just a couple months, actually. So if I read it now, then I can go see it when it goes to theaters. And that is She Said. And I'm like 90% sure that She Said is the same story as Catch and Kill, but just told by a different author. If I'm wrong, I'm sorry, so don't quote me on it, but I know that it's about assaults that happen to women in Hollywood. So I feel like it's the same story. But like I said, if I'm wrong, I apologize. Prompt number 10 is the Spider Space. It is to read a dark book. So you could literally grab a book with the dark cover, or you could pick a book that has something dark in it, or you could use the word dark, or you could, it's open to interpretation. So I interpreted it as, I'm picking The Luminous Dead by Caitlin Starling. I think the picture's on the screen, but you basically follow this woman who is an explorer, and she goes down inside this cave all by herself. And it's like this survival story. I'm not exactly sure what she's or why she's exploring this cave, but apparently it's supposed to be like claustrophobic and dark feels, and I really want that for myself. Number 11 is The Lotus Space. Read a book with disability rep. So I'm going to be reading Promise Not to Tell by Jennifer McMahon. This follows a school nurse, Kate, who goes back home after her mom gets Alzheimer's. And then sinister things start happening. I think there's a murder, and Kate starts to investigate the murder, and she thinks that it feels just like a murder that happened when she was a teenager. The next one is also open for interpretation, but the prompt is a book that makes you hot. So I picked a book that makes me passionate, because like when you just have that fury inside of you that's just like driving you to do everything that you do, you know, that is a fire. This follows a treatment facility for girls with eating disorders, and I have been very lucky that I don't have an eating disorder, and I never have, but like I've read biographies and other things about people with eating disorders, and I have been intrigued to read more from that perspective, because I guess I just don't understand it. Like, I get what it is. I know what it is, but like, what drives people to be anorexic or to be bulimic, where they eat and then they purge it? Like, what motivates that? Yeah, I probably will never fully understand it. Number 13 is The White Lily Space, which is read a book with death or grief as a theme. I've already read this book. I finished it the other day, and for this one I read Confessions by Connie Manado. Oh my gosh, I so butchered that. But it's translated from Japanese, and you follow this teacher whose daughter was murdered by her students. So on her last day as a teacher, she plots this epic revenge. And then each chapter is a different perspective, and you see kind of how it all comes together. So it was a book surrounded by the death of her daughter, but it was ultimately about grief and revenge. Number 14 is Snail Space. Read a book that is slow burn. Immediately I thought of romance. So I wanted to think a little bit harder, because I actually have a lot of romance in here. So I didn't want another romance book, although I do love romance. I wanted a slow burn, kind of a slow thriller that is just going to make my heart ache. And for that, I went with The Martian by Andy Weir. From what I can tell, this follows Mark, whose team has died in space. So it's just him. And now he's like floating in space near Mars, on Mars, not entirely sure. But he knows that his death is coming. It's just a waiting game of when and how. And that sounds so hopeless and so terrifying and so like, oh my gosh, you know your death is coming, but yeah, so I'm picking The Martian. Number 15 is read from an author that you are thirsty to read more from. And that for me immediately thought of Colleen Hoover and Taylor Jenkins Reid. I almost said Taylor Swift, but no, those are two different people. Taylor Jenkins Reid and Colleen Hoover. I still have one Taylor Jenkins Reid book. Actually, I have two Taylor Jenkins Reid books that I haven't read yet on my shelf. So I want to read Forever Interrupted by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I'm not even going to lie to you. I started this. It was gut-wrenching. Like, it destroyed my heart. So I put it down for a while. But I'm like 50 pages in. Basically, you follow Elsie and Ben, who have this whirlwind romance. They get married, and then Ben goes to get them dinner, and on his way home, he dies in a motorcycle accident. And like, as a married lady, that's pretty scary. Like, just that whole synopsis of your husband dying. Yeah, that is legitimately one of my worst fears. So, yeah, we're just gonna shatter my soul. Number 16 is Fertilizer Space. Read a book that is going to enrich your soul, that is going to nourish your soul. For this, I'm going to pick Josh and Hazel's Guide to Not Dating by Christina Lauren. This would also, I could double this up for a reread because reread's coming up here. But like I said, I picked a different prompt for each one. There are so many ways that I could double or even triple some of these up. But absolutely love this book. And to be honest with you, I haven't read this copy yet because I listened to it on audiobook. But now that I have a physical copy that smells so delicious, I have to read it. Green Carnation Space. This one I'm a little scared for because I don't read a lot of young adult anymore, but this is Follow Your Arrow by Jessica Verde. This girl, I don't know her name, Rachel? Cece. Her name is Cece. She comes out as bi in this book. Then we have The Tulip Space. Read a book that has romantic love in it. For that, I'm going to pick Simmer Down by Sarah Smith. This is like a Food Wars Heat to Love type romance. And I love a good foodie type romance. Foodish type romance. So this girl, Nikki, and Tavon, I think, they both have a Filipino food truck, and they always happen to be at the same place. And then there is some kind of food competition. Maui Food Festival. Decide who has the better food, and then the other person can go away. But I think they fall in love instead. The next one is The Ladybug Space. Read a book with a simple cover that you think will destroy you. So, of course, I had to pick Rules of Written by Leah Schreier. This is a very basic cover. Like, look. It says, a novel about first love, healthy boundaries, and the mistakes that make you a real person. And how far would you go to protect the ones you love? So Rules of Rain follows Rain and Ethan. Rain is Ethan's older sister. I love that brother-sister dynamic. And Ethan has autism, and Rain has always taken care of him. So I just feel like I can relate to this book a lot. Number 20 is Root Space Reread or Revisit, a book you've read before. For this one, I'm going to pick The Unhoneymooners by Christina Lauren. This is one of my favorite all-time romances ever. Then Earth Space is the next one. This one is read a book that takes place or was published before 1999, before the 1990s. I just finished Mary Jane today. I don't remember the authors, but I'll put it up here. It was like this historical fiction, takes place in 1974, about this 14-year-old girl named Mary Jane who becomes like this nanny to this little girl named Izzy, and their relationship was just so cute, and I fell in love with it. It was really good. I didn't expect to like it because it had like celebrities, and it's not something that's historical fiction, not something that I would typically pick up, but I got it at the library and I finished it in one day. So. The next one is Ivy Space Read a Highly Rated Book. I'm going to be reading Night Road by Kristen Hanna. This is a mystery. This is also going to be like my second chance with Kristen Hanna because I did not like The Great Alone. But this follows this small town where Lexi and Mia are best friends, and then in 2002, I think both of them go missing, and I'm not entirely sure what happens after that. Then the Dandelion Space, read a book that has been on your TBR for too long. For that, I'm going to pick Strange Planet by Nathan W. Pyle. Honestly, I just picked it because it's gonna be a real easy read, and I needed to be nice to myself. But it's like sci-fi, it's aliens, I think the aliens teach you about humanity. And the last one is Mole Space. Read a book that features a strong antagonist. For this one, I looked on a list of recommendations, and there's They Never Learn by Lane Fargo. I don't know a whole lot about this. I just know that it follows this English professor at this university where she has been killing men that do wrong to women for years, but now I think she killed someone important. And now the police are like on campus investigating, and she has to kind of cool her jets and not murder anyone while they're there. But I feel like that's a problem for her. And so screams like fall vibes, screams dark academia, and I'm ready for it. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to give it a big thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. Hopefully this is up tomorrow. I will see you guys later. Sorry that I'm always late to the party.